The rain had started just past Carlisle, turning the M6 into a river of red taillights. I'd been driving for nearly 6 hours, Manchester to Inverness, helping my cousin Sarah relocate for her new position at a marine research facility. We'd grown up together in Blackpool, inseparable, until university pulled us in different directions. The loading and unloading had taken longer than expected. By the time we'd finished her curry and said our goodbyes, twilight had already surrendered to a moonless October night. I should have stayed over, but I had an early shift at the hospital, so I drove. My Ford Focus, a 2009 diesel I'd inherited from my father, had been running smoothly until somewhere between Perth and Pitlochry. That's when I noticed the steering wheel vibrating, followed by an ominous grinding sound from the rear axle. The dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. Brake warning, ABS fault, traction control failure. Brilliant, I muttered, gripping the wheel tighter as the car began pulling left. I nursed it along for another 2 miles before the grinding became unbearable. A lay-by materialized ahead, barely visible in my failing headlights, and I coasted in, the car shuddering to a stop. Silence, just wind rattling through the Highland pines. I tried calling the AA, no signal, not even a single bar. I attempted my insurance helpline, my cousin, even emergency services. Nothing. The phone might as well have been a brick. 20 minutes passed, 40, not a single vehicle. I grabbed my phone as a torch and stepped out into the freezing drizzle. The lay-by was larger than I'd thought, extending into what looked like an old forestry access road, and there, perhaps 100 meters into the trees, I saw lights. Not electric lights, oil lamps, moving. My rational mind said night workers, or forestry crew, but something primitive in my chest said, run. I didn't run. I walked toward those lights. The trees opened onto a clearing where 5 caravans formed a rough semicircle around a guttering fire. They weren't modern touring caravans. These were ancient, windowless boxes with warped panels and rust eating through the metal. But people were definitely inside. I could hear radio static and low voices speaking in a language I didn't recognize. Hello? My voice sounded thin. Sorry to bother you. My car's broken down. Could I possibly use a phone? The voices stopped. Then, slowly, a door creaked open on the nearest caravan. A woman emerged, elderly, wrapped in layers of dark clothing, her face deeply lined and expressionless. She stared at me for what felt like minutes. No phone here, she said finally, her accent thick and indeterminate. Right, okay. Is there a town nearby? Somewhere I could walk to? She tilted her head, bird-like. You shouldn't walk. Not tonight. Why not? She didn't answer. Instead, she withdrew into the caravan and closed the door with a decisive bang. The other caravans remained silent, but I felt eyes on me, many eyes, watching from those dark, curtained windows. I backed away slowly, returning to the road. That's when I smelled it. Not wood smoke, but burning rubber and plastics. My car was exactly where I'd left it, except now, both rear tires had been slashed to ribbons. The boot was open. My bag, clothes, laptop, camera gone, but sitting on the driver's seat was something that made my blood freeze. My own wallet, opened, with my license removed and placed on the dashboard, facing up, so I could see it clearly. A message, we know who you are. I grabbed the license, slammed the door, and started running. Not back toward the caravans, toward the road, hoping against hope for traffic. The first vehicle I saw was a white transit van, approaching slowly, too slowly. It pulled alongside me, and the window lowered just enough for me to see the driver, a young man, maybe 25, grinning. Lost, are you? His accent was local, but the grin was wrong. All teeth, no warmth. I'm fine, thanks, I said, still walking. Doesn't look fine. Looks like you could use some help. The side door slid open. I ran. I left the road entirely, crashing through heather and gorse, my ankles twisting on hidden rocks. Behind me, I heard the van's engine, then doors slamming, then shouting and laughter. They were hunting me. I found a drainage ditch and threw myself into it. Lying in freezing, stagnant water, barely breathing. Torchlight swept overhead. Voices called out in that same strange language I'd heard at the caravans. I waited in that ditch for 3 hours. When I finally emerged, shaking, hypothermic, I followed a stream downhill until I reached a single-track road. A farmhouse sat in the distance, lights blazing, real lights, electric and warm. The elderly couple who answered the door thought I'd been in an accident. They gave me blankets, tea, and called the police when I sat trembling in their kitchen. The police found my car the next morning, completely burned out. The caravan site was empty, just scorched earth where the fire had been, and tire tracks leading deeper into the forest. They classified it as theft and arson by persons unknown. I never got my belongings back, never learned who those people were, or why they targeted me specifically. But sometimes, late at night, I still think about that woman's words. You shouldn't walk, not tonight, as if she'd known exactly what was waiting for me on that road.